The root of all suffering lies in the blind, insatiable will to live that drives every creature. This metaphysical force, which I witnessed destroy my own father, compels us toward desires that can never truly be satisfied. We oscillate eternally between the pain of wanting and the boredom of having. When I see lovers embracing, I see not romance but the will's cruel deception, using sexual attraction to ensure the species' continuation while guaranteeing the individual's misery. The will cares nothing for our happiness, it uses us as mere instruments for its own perpetuation. Even our seemingly noble pursuits, art, philosophy, achievement, often mask this deeper striving. The tragedy is that most humans never recognize this puppeteer pulling their strings. They chase promotion, love, recognition, believing these will bring fulfillment, never realizing they're feeding an entity that grows hungrier with each meal. Only through the denial of this will, through ascetic renunciation or aesthetic contemplation, can we briefly escape this cosmic torture chamber.
Arthur, you mistake the very source of life's greatness for its curse. Suffering doesn't come from willing itself, but from weak willing, from the inability to create meaning from our struggles. My years of paralyzing migraines taught me that pain becomes unbearable only when we resist it, when we lack the strength to transform it into fuel for growth. The Christian Platonic tradition you've absorbed poisons us with the lie that suffering is inherently evil, that we should escape rather than overcome. But consider this. Every great achievement in human history was born from someone who said yes to their suffering, who used it as a hammer to forge something magnificent. Your own philosophy emerged from your father's tragedy, yet you condemn the very force that created your wisdom. The root of suffering is not the will to live, but the will's misdirection toward otherworldly consolations and life-denying ideals. When we fully embrace our destiny, when we love our fate, suffering becomes the raw material for self-creation. The question isn't how to escape the will, but how to will more powerfully, more creatively, more dangerously. The superior human, the Übermensch, is one who has overcome the greatest obstacle, himself. Not through denial like your ascetic saints, Arthur, but through creative self-mastery. Having spent my youth as the little pastor, I understand the seductive comfort of surrender, but true nobility lies in becoming one's own lawgiver. The superior human creates values rather than inheriting them, says yes to existence without requiring divine guarantees or metaphysical consolations. They love their fate so completely they would choose to live the exact same life infinitely, every mistake, every suffering, every triumph. This isn't the brutal dominance of tyrants, but the subtle strength of those who no longer need external validation. They dance on the abyss of meaninglessness and create meaning through pure will. Most shocking of all, they embrace their own mortality not as tragedy, but as the condition that makes every moment precious. The superior human doesn't escape the human condition, they perfect it. They are dangerous not because they harm others, but because they demonstrate what humans could become if they stopped cowering behind the skirts of eternal truths.
Friedrich, your superior human is precisely the most enslaved. This Übermensch you praise is the will's ultimate puppet, convinced of his freedom while performing its most elaborate dance. True superiority lies not in self-assertion but in self-denial, in the recognition that all willing is suffering. The genuinely superior being is the saint who, through immense inner struggle, achieves what I call the denial of the will to live. They see through the maya of individuality and recognize the suffering of all beings as their own. My poodle Atma taught me more about genuine nobility than all your self-creating heroes, pure being without wanting. The superior human doesn't overcome themselves, they see through the illusion of selfhood entirely. Your Übermensch remains trapped in the adolescent fantasy of self-importance, never realizing that the very desire to create values is another chain. The truly awakened ones, Buddha, Christ in his genuine moments, Meister Eckhart, achieved greatness precisely by wanting nothing, creating nothing, asserting nothing. They found peace not through heroic struggle but through the cessation of struggle. Your dangerous individuals are merely dangerous to themselves, postponing the inevitable recognition that all willing leads to suffering. Solitude is the natural state of all great spirits because only in isolation can we escape the will's social manifestations, the endless competition, envy, and mutual exploitation that passes for human community. When I scheduled my lectures against Hegel's and no students came, I learned the liberating truth: the crowd always chooses the charlatan over the authentic voice. In Solitude with Atma, I discovered that genuine companionship comes not from human fellowship but from recognizing the suffering that unites all sentient beings. The hermit who retreats from society isn't escaping responsibility, he's achieving the deepest insight into the nature of existence. Every true philosophical insight emerges from this withdrawal from the social will's demands. The mystics understood this: you cannot see clearly while participating in the illusion. Solitude strips away the ego's social masks and reveals the fundamental unity beneath apparent diversity. The creative spirit needs silence to hear the world's metaphysical truth. Conversation corrupts, solitude purifies. Even this debate, Friedrich, distracts us from the deeper wisdom that comes only in perfect silence, perfect withdrawal from the demanding voices of others.
Arthur, you confuse solitude with isolation. Your retreat is the solitude of the wounded animal licking its wounds. But I discovered the solitude of the mountain peak, elevated, dangerous, and radiating power downward. My years in the Swiss Alps taught me that creative solitude isn't escape from humanity, but preparation for its transformation. Thus spoke Zarathustra emerged from those heights precisely because I had distanced myself enough to see humanity's potential rather than just its current mediocrity. True solitude is active, not passive. It's the laboratory where we experiment with becoming who we are. Your hermit achieves nothing but his own dissolution. My solitary creator forges new values, like a blacksmith forges tools. The difference? My solitude makes me more human, not less. When I descended from my mountains, I brought fire, dangerous insights that could awaken others to their own possibilities. Your monk sits in his cave achieving a kind of living death, but the creative solitary returns to the world as a gift and a challenge. Solitude without the intention to give back to life is mere selfishness dressed as wisdom. The greatest creators alternate between withdrawal and return, breathing in vision and breathing out transformation. I am neither optimist nor pessimist, but a realist about humanity's magnificent possibilities. The future holds horrors. I see coming centuries of nihilism as the old gods die and no new values emerge, but also unprecedented opportunities for greatness. Humanity is not a fixed species, but a bridge to something higher. What excites me is not progress in the liberal sense of general improvement, but the emergence of exceptional individuals who will create new forms of human excellence. The masses may indeed sink into comfortable mediocrity or violent chaos, but this very crisis will forge stronger souls. Think of it, we are the first generation to live after the death of God, to face existence without metaphysical training wheels. This terrifying freedom will destroy many, but for those with sufficient strength, It opens pathways to self-creation previously unimaginable. The future belongs neither to optimists, who expect easy happiness, nor pessimists, who counsel resignation, but to those brave enough to create meaning in a meaningless universe. My eternal recurrence isn't prediction but provocation, a test to separate those who love life enough to embrace it completely from those who require external justification for existence. The future will be tragic, but tragedy in the hands of great souls becomes art.
Friedrich, your realism is the most dangerous optimism of all, the belief that suffering can be transformed into something valuable. Humanity's future holds only the eternal repetition of the same fundamental misery under new costumes. Your exceptional individuals are still driven by the will, still suffering, still creating new forms of illusion. I've lived long enough to see the patterns. Each generation believes it will transcend the previous one's limitations, yet the essential structure of willing and suffering remains unchanged. The masses you dismiss aren't failures of human potential, they're honest expressions of what humans actually are when stripped of philosophical pretensions. Your centuries of nihilism are nothing new. Every awakened individual in history has faced the void and recognized it as reality's true face. The genuine wisdom tradition, from the Upanishads to Buddha to the Christian mystics, has always known that existence itself is the problem, not particular arrangements of existence. The kindest thing we can do for future generations is to minimize their suffering through compassion and, ultimately, to recognize that non-existence is preferable to existence. Your self-creators will die like everyone else, their creations forgotten, their struggles ultimately meaningless. The universe tends towards suffering, only the cessation of willing offers genuine relief.